Good morning, boys and girls. I'm going to begin today on page 158 in your instructional workbook, sorry. We're going to explore the idea of using models to help you think about fractions. For number 2, it says how many equal parts are that of this model? If you said 3, you're correct. How many parts are shaded? Right, 1 part. Write the fraction that names the shaded part. Circle the name for this fraction, 1/2, 1/3, or 1/4. If you said 1/3, you're correct. Let's keep going. How many equal parts of this next circle? How many parts are shaded? And finally, write the fraction that names the shaded parts. Good. You should circle either 3/2, 3/3, or 3/4. For number 4, write the unit fraction for each shown. Shade the number of parts on the second one. So if you're doing number 4 and you shade the unit fraction, you should write 1/4 should be your fraction. Then you go to the other one and you shade 2 parts. What was the fraction of the square that you shaded? If you put 2/4, you are correct. Let's do the same thing with number 5. Write your unit fraction and then go over and shade in 6 parts of that circle. Boys and girls, if you need to slow down because I'm going too fast, on your video, you can hit pause and do what you need to do, and then hit it again to resume the video. Down at the bottom, write the fraction for each of those shapes. I mean, the shaded parts of those shapes, because I need to be exact so that you know what you need to do. For example, the first one you would write the fraction 1/2. Over on the side, you're asked to explain your fractions that we've just done. So if you're looking at number 4 and 5, how did you know what the fraction was? How did you know what the unit fraction was? I'm going to give you a moment to think about that. Remember, you can pause if you need to write and then come back. If you wrote something similar to a unit fraction is 1 part of the equal parts, then in that case, your unit fraction will be 1 because one part is shaded, and there are 4 equal parts being your denominator, so your unit fraction would be 1/4. Explain how you figured out what fractions to write for the parts you shaded in. I want you to think about explaining this in your writing the way you would explain it to a younger brother or sister who did not understand fractions. If you can explain it in your language, how they would understand the parts, then you really know what you're talking about. Do you think you could have shaded the number of parts in another way? What that means is if I look at the square that told me on number 4 to shade 2 parts, and I shaded the top 2 squares. But what if another child decided to color in the two bottom parts? Or even another decided to color in the diagonal parts of that square? Would it make a difference in the fraction? Write what you think on the lines. For number 10, look at the rectangle. Write the unit fraction for that rectangle, and then shade 4/8. The next one is asking you to look at your fractions in a little different way. There's a model, and it tells you that that model is 1/3 of a whole. So you only have one part of a fraction. See if you can draw what 2/3 of the shape would look like, the square would look like. And then try the same with the little triangle. It's 1/6 is that triangle. Draw what 3/6 of the shape might look like. It's okay if your shapes aren't drawn precisely, as long as I can tell what you were looking for. Thank you for joining me today, boys and girls. For the next part, I want you to do this independently. It is page 163 and 164 in your practice books. And once again, thanks for joining me, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.